We're back again then for Black History Month podcast. This year for Black History Month, the theme is standing firm in power and pride. So we're just going to be looking at some of the topics around that and just be getting to know each person a little bit more. So start with you, John, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm John Williams. I work in the protection department, which is fire safety.
And moving on.
My name is Marcus Hussey. I'm a principal accountant. I work in the finance department at HQ.
Hi, I'm Angela Pinkerton. I work in human resources with the employee relations team.
Cool. And then my name is Gavin Gillings and I'm a watch commander. I work in response over in Broughton, Blue Watch in Milton Keynes. So do a little bit about, before we move on to some of the main topics that are listed here, well, just a bit of background about each of us really. I know we spoke before about it, but a bit of heritage, where it comes from. So Angela, do you want to just go through your background?
Yeah, sure. So my mum's from Jamaica and my dad's from Barbados. I'm born and bred in Aylesbury. I actually knew Johnny, or known Johnny for a long time, and very much our parents. Aylesbury, West Indies, and the nursing and working in the NHS, etc. So my parents came over here in the 60s. It's actually been really nice doing this because I sat down and I spoke to my parents. I said, can you just tell me a little bit about, when you came over here and their experiences? So they came here in the 60s. My mum was in nursing and then from nursing went into midwifery. She always knew that was going to be her field of expertise. She's retired now, but has left, I would say, kind of a legacy in Aylesbury. We walk around in Aylesbury and the amount of people who still remember my mum as a midwife, and it makes you really proud. And my dad worked in psychiatry, so again started off in nursing, progressed up, and retired as ward manager.
Marcus, do you want to?
Born in England, happen to be both born local to Aylesbury, so that's where I've born and bred, born and raised in Aylesbury. So I was born in St Manuel Hospital. In terms of grandparents then, in terms of my dad's side, so they're both from Jamaica. They immigrated over here during the late 50s as part of the Windward generation to obviously bring Britain back to where it is now. My granddad came over first to settle. He settled with some family here. They already moved over. And then shortly afterwards, my grandma came over. They stayed with family for a good few years before they saved money. I think most other families that came into Aylesbury, they worked together to then be able to afford a house. They bought a house on the Twin Road, which they lived for over 40 years in their house before they sold it, and then they downsized. In terms of children, so in Aylesbury, my dad had 3 brothers and 4 sisters. Good stories to be fair, which I wanted to share, was when my dad came over, my grandparents came over, my dad was the firstborn, or he thought he was the firstborn, and 3 other siblings. Ended up being a good few years later, we got a knock on the door, there was 3 other siblings that turned up that he never knew about. So, and that was a shock to the system in terms of him. He thought he was the oldest, and also my other aunties and uncles, and there's a massive shock for them. And also, you couldn't question my grandparents back then, and probably still couldn't. Couldn't really question them. So that's a bit about me and my parents.
Nice one. John, do you want to go into it?
Yeah, so both my parents are from Dominica. Dad came over first. He lived and worked in Oxford. Mum came a few years later to join her father, who lived in Aylesbury. They knew each other before they came over, so they were from the same village, literally 5 minutes up the road, and obviously came over, got together. There's me and my brother and my 2 sisters. We've lived in Aylesbury, we lived in Aylesbury for years. Obviously, we've all moved away now. I'm in Milton Keynes. Yes, we lived in Aylesbury, raised in Aylesbury. My grandfather was still around. He lived locally as well. We had a good wide community of West Indians in Aylesbury, and my parents were an integral part of that. Like Angela said, we kind of grew up together as the siblings of a generation of people that kind of secured that early community group and community idea. So funnily enough, I know in terms of locals, I knew Angela's parents very well. and Marcus as well. So it was very community spirit in Aylesbury.
Yeah, for myself then, so my mum, firstly, she's born in London, in Kensington, adopted unofficially. So she was born to an Irish mother and a Thai father. She never met either of them as a child, but she was adopted unofficially back in those days by who she called grandma, who took her to Jamaica as a young child. So she was taken to Jamaica as like really young, grew up, went through the school education and everything in Jamaica. That's where she then met my dad, who's born in Jamaica. So they obviously became a couple. Had my brother. My brother was born in Kingston. So this was in '79, and then a little while after that, probably within a year or two, they came back, or she came back firstly, back to the UK and sort of set foundations in Milton Keynes. So Milton Keynes, where I'm from. So so she came back, set up. Shortly after that, my dad then came across. Don't really remember them being together too much, to be honest, as a child. They were, obviously, it was on and off. My dad, on his side, lots of children he had, so lots of children. Obviously, for me growing up personally, to the same mum and dad, there's three of us, myself, older brother and younger sister. So we're all obviously close. However, on my dad's side, the one that I've met that's local, my sister, who over probably the last 2 years, been spending a lot more time with. She's from Milton Keynes, Carla. So she's on my dad's side, who we now, funny story about that actually. So growing up as children, we never knew Carla. And it was my sister that was working in Milton Keynes, and she went across to Sainsbury's on her lunch break. This was, I don't know, late teens. She's gone there as just buy some lunch. And then serving her happened to be Carla on the checkout. So this was back when you had to give the cards and you had to sign your name on the card. So she's giving the cards to Carla. They don't know each other at this point. And Carla goes to Susie, my sister, goes, "That's the same surname like mine." And she goes, "Oh, right, okay." And she's like, and then obviously they got talking. So this was, I don't know, late teens, that they kind of first time meeting and realised that we're siblings. So myself, my brother, obviously my sister, then we got to know Carla a little bit more. As time goes on, as you grow up, everyone's busy, families start happening, work. So we kind of lost a little bit of contact with Carla for a little while. But I'd say over the last, two years maybe, we've kind of got that connection again now, so spending a lot more time together. So that's kind of where it's at. So growing up then, probably didn't see my dad for a long time. He now lives in America, so a place called Fort Lauderdale. I went over there, saw him in 2006, spent a bit of time with him. Got on quite well, to be fair, considering obviously wasn't around much throughout sort of childhood. Got on okay. Communication's probably a little bit faint now, I'd say, but that's kind of where we're at really. And there, as I say, happy with kind of where we're at. So next question or topic we're going to talk about then is why you joined service, and can you think of any historical reflections that relate to today? So start with you, John.
Yeah, obviously very long time ago since I joined, but I've done 29 years, and at the time I've not really had a career other than selling quite short. So I wanted something that would suit my attributes. First of all, I wanted to be physical, obviously, like my makeup. The fact that you could serve the community was spot on for me. I think they acted very well, so I was happy with that. And stability, because I found that in my early working career I had quite a few jobs. And I wanted that career stability. I knew the fire service gave me that, or could give me that. Admittedly, and I said it last year, it was whether I saw myself as someone that could be working for the fire service. When I look at the makeup of the fire service as it was then, I saw very few people that looked like myself, and so I would not necessarily thought that was something that I could do, somewhere that I could land. And again, I spoke last time about how the service were interested in the fact that there were so few ethnic minority people within the service, and it was kind of a coincidence because somebody that I knew, the mayor at the time, Chester Jones, was speaking to the chief at the time, trying to understand how that demographic worked. I knew Chester and his family. They knew that I had this interest in the fire service, and so the two things kind of joined together. So I'm introducing myself to the fire service introducing themselves to me. It was a good match, really. I brought what they wanted, they brought what I wanted, and we haven't looked back since. So that's kind of how I've landed where I've landed.
Yeah, that's good. What about you, Marcus, in your role? What brought you here?
Yeah, so for me, when I left school, I didn't know what I wanted to be, didn't know what to do in life. I was in a stalemate of going, right, do I try and progress playing football, try and get some cash on the side, or do I try and find a job in retail? I didn't know what I wanted to do. So it happened to be a conversation when I was just driving home from school with my mum. She's like, what are you going to do for sixth form? I was like, I've not even thought about it yet. She goes, okay, you've got good grades at your GCSE levels, you've got good maths, you've got a business head on you. Why not try to do something regarding being an accountant or accountancy? And I said to her, I was like, what's that? I said, no. I was only 17, 18 at the time. I didn't have a clue what it was. So the only thing I knew was I didn't want to go to university. I didn't want that debt on my head because I'm money orientated. I didn't want to have a debt after 3-4 years at university. So then I went to Aylesbury College, enrolled in an AAT course, so just an accountancy technician course, just to see if I liked it or not. And I enjoyed it. Passed every exam the first time in the first year, which was like, okay, I could do this. Even though it's at the foundation level, I thought I can do this. And then during my second year, I was just turned 18. I was thinking, right, everyone's out and about. I need some clothes. I need some spending money. I need to get a job. So I decided to change from a day course to an evening course, so I can work during the day. End up working at JJB Sports before it closed down. Way back in the day. Well, I say way back in the day for me it was. And then I worked in a warehouse, literally just doing parcel packing. I thought, okay, this can't be my life. This can't be it. So I started applying for some jobs, and this job came up. And this is the only place that gave me an interview. All the rest of them were just like, no, you've got no experience, you haven't got the right qualifications, they all knows. So this job came up, there was advertising for 2 finance assistant roles. There was over 70 applicants that applied for it, and I managed to windle my way into the service through a good interview with now the current Director of Finance and Assets, Mark Hemming. So he's been very good to me over the past few years. So yeah, and one of the feedback I got from that was from based on the school you went to, the qualifications you got at that school is one of the reasons why Liz going, okay, he's managed to get somewhere. Let's see what he can do for us. So they gave me a chance, and I've taken it, and I'm not looked back.
And what have they put you through a lot of development since you've been here?
Yeah, so when I joined, so I was in my second year of 3 at Aylesbury College. I paid for the first 2 years. The third year, they paid for me, which was great.
Yeah.
So I then qualified at the foundation level. We then had a restructure in the finance team, where the 2 finance assistant roles became 2 training accountancy roles. And they paid for my chartered accountancy qualification over the next 4 years, which happened to equate to over £10,000 worth of expenditure for the service. And I believe I've put my investment back into the service by doing that course. And yeah, that's where I am now.
So with that then, have you gone up in grades? Because you're principal accountant now from finance assistant. What's the path been like from that to there?
So during the chartered accountancy course of the 4 years, every milestone I got to, I went up a level. So it was past the first 4 exams, you got a scale in the support staff pay scales, and then you pass the next 4 as well, you got the next level, then the next 2, or the last 2, you got to the final level. Then it was a year of being qualified, then go to the top level of that pay scale, which then would qualify me as an accountant. I then interviewed for the principal accounting role that came up, so there was a vacant post, and then I managed to get that job as well. So then I moved up a couple of levels, and I've been on this role now for 4.5, 5 years now.
Okay. Yeah. And then the next step from there would be head of...
Yeah, so for me personally, I'm comfortable where I'm at.
Yeah. Because
I've got the work-life balance. It's a 9 to 5. I'm flexible. I can work from home, work in the office. I've got 3 young children, so they need to be taken care of as well. And I've got aspirations outside of work that I'm committing myself more to. I'm currently renovating my house. I've got a property that I'm renting out, so that's more so outside of work. But in work, I am comfortable where I'm at. I know the role, there are challenges. I deal with quite a few different things, so it's not very stale. It's new things every day. So for me, I've got a good balance where I'm at now in the position.
Yeah, nice one. All right, cheers. Angela, how about yourself?
Yeah, Marcus sounds like he's got his head screwed on, isn't he?
Yeah, money Marcus.
No, I'm quite impressed. So I've, similar to Marcus, in the sense of I've always worked. So I went to school locally at the high school. Used to finish school, used to clean the high school afterwards. So there was a group of us just to make some extra money. I did my A-levels and GCSEs, A-levels there, and then the next natural transition was university. So I went to university for 3 years, and I was in Hull for that time. But again, you do all of this, and after the 3 years, I was like, right, what am I going to do? I know that I like people, but I wasn't sure in terms of where I saw myself in a career point of view. So I came back to Aylesbury, and I was quite fortunate that I did some temping at Equitable Life, which was like the main place where most people used to work. So I temped there for a period of time, and then a recruitment role came up. applied for it, and that was my first kind of introduction to HR. I worked in recruitment, and then from there I've worked in the council and human resources, again, the best from recruitment to employee relations there. And then from Bucks, although my experience was a bit of private and public sector, I felt I wanted to get a bit more exposure, so then left there and went into private industry. So again, still working in human resources. And my career's kind of taken me to different aspects of HR. People, I think, don't always understand what HR, human resources, remains. We get quite negative. Sometimes we get negative impressions of what human resources is about. But for me, it's quite a varied role. So again, in my career, I've also experienced global mobility, which is still part of human resources. That's sending people work in other parts of the world for companies. They all fell within the HR remit. So I've got quite a vast, broad HR experience. Why did I take the role in Bucks Fire Service when I've been here a year? And for me, it was around the work-life balance. So married and 3 kids, your life changes. And I've been quite fortunate to be able to travel and to work for lots of different companies, but I felt I needed to come back to Aylesbury. I needed to come back closer one time with the kids. And this role came up, which was ideal. And the year has gone so quickly. I just can't believe how quickly it's gone. But from day one, and like I say, this hand and heart felt really welcomed within the fire service. It's a learning curve for me, so I've had to learn jargon, acronyms. I now know about BAs and drills and this and the other, which I had no clue about before. I used to be doing RTC, so they had cut me out of them. But the experience has been fantastic. So for me, it's around that work-life balance, but also being able to bring my experiences from other organisations. So I really said it so much.
Do you say you've got 3 children?
Yeah.
So what do they think about you working in the fire service? Are they proud of like that their mum works here? How old are they? Are they sort of young enough to kind of...
So I've got a 14-year-old and twins who are 8, coming up to 9. So whenever they see not so much 14-year-olds, cool. So, but in terms of the twins, if they see a fire engine, they're like, oh, Mum, there's a fire engine, and you work for the fire service. So there is that excitement. And again, for me, my perception of the fire service was very much London to Burnings. You've got your own image of what it's like, going down the pole and etc. And again, the variety, it's such a varied role, and I don't think people really understand that. So not just operational, but even in terms of the support role as well. I know there's colleagues who not only work in the offices, but also provide operational support, so it's so varied. But yeah, it's nice to be able to say.
Yeah. Like you said there, I think the other departments and that, people don't realise, as you just said, like you've got like workshops, you've got obviously HR, you've got procurement, you've got comms, you've got finance, you've got all these different departments and people. That's why I like doing something like this is so good, rather than just having an operational cast, like talking about their experience. I think this probably shows a bit of diversity, don't it? Kind of getting everyone together to kind of talk about stuff, because like you said there, and it was nice to hear about obviously like what your kids think and all that as well, and like Marcus's journey, because we're surrounded more so myself now as John's progressed and moved on. On watches, we're almost in like a bubble, so we don't get to hear as much. I know we've spoke over the last year, haven't we, through different things, which obviously got to know you and things then. But yeah, no, it's just good. It's kind of hearing those different bits, I think. So
I think what's nice as well, although we sit in our office, to also go down and speak to the teams downstairs. We sit in the same, I always say that we sit in the same building, but there's sometimes this divide of ops and non-ops. And for me, for my learning, it's important to be able to sit and to actually fully kind of understand what the day-to-day goings are on, and to also build that relationship as well.
do you feel welcomed when you go down there?
Oh gosh, the best cup of tea ever. I always say to people, want a really good cup of tea. It doesn't matter where I've gone, whether it's Wickham, Amersham, Gerrard's Cross, West Ashland. First thing, as soon as you walk in, would you like a cup of tea? And it's, and I'm fussy with the tea, and it's spot on. But yeah, no, and again, people have been really appreciative. So when you go down, it's like you get a smile of, oh, someone's come to see us. So yeah, I think for me, that's really been, it's been really kind of helped with my development.
Nice. So for me, why did I join? So I joined in 2005, so I've been here just over 20 years now. This year, celebrated my 20th year. I find, like you just said, Angela, I'm a bit of a people person. So I like people. I try to help people. So whether it's inside of work or outside of work. And like you said as well, John, I wanted something that was physical. I knew probably from college, so I obviously did my GCSEs, did okay in those, went on to college, and again, like you, Marcus, I didn't really know straight away what I wanted to do. But towards the end of my college course, I did a National Diploma of BTEC in Sports Science. Once I was getting to the end of that, I kind of knew that I wanted to be in the fire service. It took me 3 tries to get in, so I didn't get in straight away. Got through to the final interview on my first go, just realised I didn't have the life experience that I needed. So I went away, kind of developed myself, did a role within as a prisoner custody officer. So do you remember the old company Group 4? So I used to transport prisoners, doing that.
Too young.
Oh, okay.
No, he just went.
So I realised I needed a bit of life experience pretty much. So I went away, got a bit of life experience, worked in an insurance company, did various different roles, worked in bars and those types of things. But I knew my role or my focus was the fire service. So third time of getting in, so I was 22 when I joined, got into Bucks. I remember going into the interview just in the room across from us now. Come out of that buzzing, thought the interview couldn't have gone any better. I thought, third time lucky, hopefully. Come away. I remember shaking it was the old DO here, Mick Martin. Well, Mick Martin. Shaking his hand, thinking, I feel pleased with myself here. And come away, and a week later or whatever it was, got a call from HR. So that's probably one of the nice, exciting bits about your role, or within the team, informing people when they kind of get in. You probably sense that excitement from people getting in, because that's what I had. So I got in. The sole purpose was really, I just wanted to kind of help people. And I find now my role as a watch commander, I still try to help people. So whether it's seeing people first come into the service or progress and trying to help them. So if I can help them with development centres or prepare them for interviews or help them with fitness. So I do I'm a PTI now, so, PTS, things like that. So any areas that I can kind of help people, that's what I try to do. And I know we spoke about it last year, John. John was one of the first faces that I saw when I knocked on the fire station at Great Holm. So again, for me personally, I looked in the service and you didn't see many people that look like you, and it didn't really bother me too much, because I thought I'm not going to let that be a barrier to me. But I remember knocking on the station, and John just by chance was on standby from Broughton. He was working at Great Holm on that day. First person I see, and invited me in. We went out into the drill yard. And we done some hose running, so running out some hose, bits of equipment. I was patting the hose wrong. I remember John telling me, "Don't pat the hose like that." And
It's not a dog.
but then that felt reassuring to me, because it made me think, that's the sort of person I want to be like, and kind of aspire to. And so seeing him, and obviously we've worked over the years. We've worked on watches temporarily together. We've done different things together, different projects and things. So that's been really good. Throughout that 20 years that I've been here, I've kind of edged away. So I set up a business partway through that. So I was a driving instructor for about 8 years of that. I think that's just kind of fell into wanting to help people again. It's probably taught about 200 people to drive, somewhere around there, and just kind of doing extra things along the lines, I suppose. And to the point I've got now, really, just seeing where it sort of takes me and just carry on these next 13 years and kind of go from there.
Where do you kind of see yourself? You said you watch Commander now. What do you see as kind of an ideal?
So I had my half-year appraisal recently on my line manager, and he asked me, am I going to go for the development centre? So it's development centre in October. And I said no. Not because I don't feel I want to do that role. Probably at some point I will want to. But one, I like the role I do now. I find it can be quite influential. You can kind of have quite an impact on people. You can work in the community. So I'm very community driven. So I like to kind of work and see what impact I can make on positive culture, both in and out of brigade. Charity work, things like that I've done. So whereas I feel like as you progress up, you kind of not that you get taken away from that environment, but your role and your responsibilities change slightly. And maybe that's stopping me a little bit, I don't know. But I wouldn't say that's going to stop me forever, because some of the work that I've been involved in, I've been quite lucky and been quite supported by other departments as well, which has been good. So I would like to think that I would progress at some point. I've got the exam for Station Commander next week. See how I get on.
Cool.
If I fail that, then I know I'm where I'm meant to be.
Positively.
But if I do okay on that, then maybe next year or so I might start thinking more about it. But I always said, and we spoke about it last year as well, I said, where do I aspire to get to? Maybe group somewhere along that. I've got 13 years, but I like the team I work with. I like the people I work with. I like the people that I can get involved with. So I'm kind of content, a bit like you, Marcus, where you said you're content with what you're doing. I feel like that. I don't feel too challenged. I don't feel too stressed. Don't get me wrong. There's things that come up and things that you have to deal with that I'm not going to say I've got the answers to every time, but you just try your best, don't you? But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at really. Maybe I'll start thinking about it more.
It's over to a chai.
You've got a good station commander there now.
I know, that's what I'm inspiring you to.
That's a good point. There's a lot to be said for consolidating where you're at, for you feeling comfortable in the position that you're in and knowing that you've achieved what you need to achieve, both in your career and as a person in the position that you're in before you're happy to move on. I think it's a very individual thing. But it's important that you consolidate what you know and how you feel. It's important.
I think for me, I don't want to, because you see people progressing around you. So I joined on quite a big intake. There was about 24 of us, about 20 of us who were in Bucks. And I see people progressing, which I'm really pleased for them. But I don't want to think that I'm chasing. I want to do it because I'm ready to do it and it suits. And like what you were saying, Marcus, my two are teenagers now. I've got 2 children. But the work-life balance is good. It's comfortable. Gives me time to do things outside of work that I like to do, that are responsibilities that I've got to do as well. I think before I look at the next role, I'll probably speak to people like John more about what the shift is, because I don't fully understand that shift pattern yet, the days that he works. I know he's always busy. But so I need to learn more about, there's certain things I need to learn more before I look at that role, if I'm honest with myself. So achievements then, how we build collective pride and power. So achievements, start with you, Marcus, because I know you got an award recently, your team.
So we, as the People Awards this year, we were nominated by, I think, 6 different departments or individuals for the support staff team of the year. And that was not just my team. We've got 2 elements of our team. The other side of that is the management accounts team. I deal with the technical accounts. We got nominated for an award up against some really good departments across the organisation, and they're all nominated and recognised for their work they do, which is good to see. We're fortunate enough to win that award, and that mostly goes down to the work my team do. I'm just there to just facilitate really and delegate, but it's just all my team and department work really hard to. I am so humble, yeah.
I saw you celebrated on that stage.
It's the venue we were in. I'm humble for this. But that was a good achievement this year. Also, back in 2018, we were nominated for an award for the Public Services Innovation Award, and that was again the finance department, and along with the procurement department, we won that award as well. So we had an event in London, so that was really good. So we've been recognised twice since I've been here, which is good to see. In terms of other achievements, I'll start with work-wise. Again, I mentioned already about my progression up the career ladder in terms of where I am now. So qualifications, that's a big thing for me, making sure I achieve what I want to achieve in life. And that was one of them. When I set out to become an accountant, I wanted to get to that level, and I am at that level, which is good. Next one, my career, not really thought about it. I told you about other ambitions outside of work, so for now, I'm content. And one of the things I've done for the service as well, I play football. So I've represented the service for the England Fire Rescue Service team and also the UK Fire Rescue Service team. So one of my biggest achievements in terms of the football-wise is representing the UK Fire Rescue Service team last year at the Euros that took place in France. And that was a massive achievement for me because I was the only person of colour, black person on the team, which is great for me.
How did it make you feel at the time? Did you feel... was there any sort of uncomfortable feeling at first, or was it just natural? Everyone treated you the same? What was it like?
I've always taken up, I don't go to places and think, okay, the colour of my skin is going to put a bearing on what I can or cannot do. So when I went to there, I thought, you know what, this is a challenge for me. I'm here for a reason. They selected me for a reason, so I need to show it. Unfortunately, I was injured for most of the time, so I was pretty much a support player in terms of that. But I'm going to claim the credits. I've got a medal to prove it, and I can tell my children in the future. There you go. There's a medal to prove it. Like I said, that had no bearing on me and on my abilities. They saw me for my abilities and not think, okay, we've got to tick a box here for to bring someone along to do that. So I was welcomed, and it was a split between the Scotland national team and the English national team. We had a good laugh. I got on with everyone there as well. So it wasn't okay, you go do your own thing over there kind of thing. We all got along. So that was the main thing for me, and that's one of the biggest achievements that I've done for the service, apart from the work I do within the service. So that was great to do.
Nice. And what about yourself, John? Achievements, obviously, you could probably talk about the last 12 months as well.
Yeah, we did speak last time about progression through the service. One of my goals was definitely to move up a rank, to become station commander. So yeah, that was a success. I'm sat here today as a station commander. The work that you put in, or that I put in, definitely has paid off. The idea behind that was legacy, because as we discussed last year, in my whole career, 29 and a half years, never seen anybody of anywhere near the rank of station commander, somebody of colour. So to be sat here today as the first in my time in the service is first of all, it's a pretty good achievement personally, from a personal pride point of view, but also from the aspects of others looking in. I think it kind of normalised, even though it's just I'm kind of the first, and then you've got Gav, you watch commander, you've got Sean, crew commander, and for somebody new coming in, that's now the new normal. They'll come in and they'll see that, and they won't be considering that we, as an organisation, have it. They'll look at that as a normal thing. So the aspirations of people joining now, people of colour joining now, not be held back by the fact that they don't see it, as I think I was. And I know it sounds, you could take it a certain way when you hear people saying that they didn't see themselves in that position because they didn't see anybody like themselves in that position. Well, here's the case. When I joined, I didn't see myself in that position because I didn't see anybody like me. Whereas we can see it as normal. You've got, people of colour holding position of rank, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is actually a big deal. So yeah, that's a good progression. Did well. Pat himself on the back a little bit. Family are proud. One of the things about it was I had a conversation with my dad, who sadly passed away 2 years ago. But prior to that, we spoke about where I used to have these kind of conversations with my dad about where we could go. The royal we, that was talking about me, and what difference it would make to the community, to the organisation, to my immediate family, and how we would view it. And I kind of made a promise that I would go down that road of getting to station commander because of what that would mean. And it was quite a thing that he passed away like a month after this discussion. So I always comically say that it's his fault that I had to go down this road, because then I couldn't not do it, because we had that conversation, and I'm sure he'd be very, very proud himself of that. So yeah, that's that little journey of career progression for me. That's done all right.
But even like your role now, Joe, obviously station commander, and the last 12 months, obviously I've seen what you've done and everything else, and I love seeing you turn up at jobs. It's a nice as a monitoring officer.
In a nice car.
Money Marcus, you need to get some cars.
You're right. When you consider, and it's funny, we don't necessarily consider the knock-on effect of it, but the knock-on effect of turning up as an officer at a job, it's a different progression. I spoke last year about jumping off a fire engine and the community seeing ethnic minority people getting off the fire engine and how that looks and how they view that. So now we've got a different scale. We've got it within our community in Bucks that didn't happen before. You've got a job going on with firefighters conducting their business, and then you'll get an ethnic minority officer turning up, and the community will see that. People will see that obviously this person's turning up and they've got rank, and it will make a difference. There's a different view of the levels that we can reach. And it might sound like it's a normal thing, but clearly in the last 30 years it wasn't a normal thing because it's never happened. Yeah. So now we've kind of changed the narrative as an organisation, and we're making new normals. Yeah. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, just to touch on that as well. When I came into HQ and you see the officers in their white shirts, and it was predominantly white males in that position, and across the organisation in HQ, it would be most departments didn't have very many people from the minority backgrounds. So when I came in, like I said earlier, I didn't put that on a bear with me, but now I look around and go, okay, there's Angela here, there's now John, there's a chap in IT, there's more people around, and that's good to see. That's good progression from the service. And I don't think it's because of the colour of skin, it's because their abilities that they bring to the table, and they bring better abilities, different ideas and stuff like that, which is really good to see. And that's why I'm proud of seeing that across the service, and I want to continue. And that's something we should continue to look forward to as well.
But don't you think that even though I was always comfortable in the service, even when it was less represented by ethnic minorities. It makes a difference to how comfortable I feel within the organisation when I see people of different backgrounds, not even that necessarily look like me in terms of being West Indian or being black. Just the fact that we have such a varied workforce now just makes me feel more comfortable, more relaxed.
Diverse.
Yeah, the diversity of our workforce, it's a good thing.
I think we've had that in the finance department since I first joined as well. So my line manager is from minority background as well. Another colleague who's European. So we have that diversity within our team. We've always had that, and it's good to see it now. That's spread out into the wider organisation as well.
We spoke before about so you'd obviously like authority meetings and things like that. So your role in attending those, how do you find the diversity within that, and how do you feel within your position when you're standing up, sort of speaking to the group? Do you feel proud to be there representing?
Yeah, of course I do. I feel proud, and I'm there to present the work that I do, which is good. So it's my work, and I'm presenting my work, which is good. Instead of someone else presenting the work on my behalf. So it's good to show, okay, this is what I've done. I'm now showing you what I've done, and it's good to have the members that we've got are quite from a diverse background now.
Yeah.
So they can engage and relate as well to certain stuff that goes on. You can have communications and chats with them afterwards, which are really good and really helpful. But for me, yeah, I do feel proud going to the member meetings and having the responsibility and given the responsibility to be able to go to those meetings, because it could have quite easily gone, do you know what, we leave you there, we're going to present this on your behalf. And they haven't done that. They've gone, do you know what, you've done the work, go celebrate your work to members and other officers of senior level. And now we record on YouTube. So it's even bigger now, it's wider. So it's not just internally, it's now anyone can go and view those videos, which is good to see.
Yeah, that's really good. Angela, about yourself, achievement-wise, have you got any sort of that you're proud of that you've done since being here or before?
Actually, found this one really hard. In the sense that I think sometimes to be able to sit there and go, I've done this and I've done that, doesn't sort of come naturally. And I've always, throughout my career, I like to see progression with other people. So if I can help people, that's kind of where I get my feeling of achievement, when I've seen people kind of progress and or have individuals come back and say, Angela, thank you for what support you've given me. So when I was thinking about this question, especially here, I then remembered I delivered a training, 16-hour training session recently. And it was after that training session, one of the delegates came up to me and she said, it was so nice to see someone who looks like me delivering this training. And I've never had that before. And it actually made me kind of sit back and go, oh, wow. Because I guess throughout living in Aylesbury, going to school, there was only probably a handful of people of colour or ethnic minorities in the school I went to. Same work-wise. So I've always just thought I'm just Angela, yeah. So to have somebody to actually say that it was nice to have somebody who they could relate to, I think for me that was something that really kind of have achieved in the sense of being able to help to oversee some of those barriers that you guys have been talking about. But yeah, I just think back on, and I've never, my scheme's never been something that's prohibited me from being part of everyone's still there for me. Always work hard to achieve. Yeah, and that's how my mindset's always been, and it's the same with
And what the service doing now, is there like scope for you to progress courses?
Yeah, so one of the things I've looked at was around mentorship, and that's something that I've been able to be able to progress with that. And as I said, being receptive to new ideas as well. So just being able to look at what I'm doing, just take its mention. It's just nice to be able to know that those ideas have been received positively. And this year, I was also nominated for an award, which I was really not expecting. And as I said, I don't like the limelight. But yeah, the fact that in a short space of time it has been kind of recognised what I've been able to do in my working relationship. So yeah.
I heard, sorry, that you, as I've travelled around the place, I have heard Angela's has a very good reputation. For someone to build that positive reputation in such a short space of time, that definitely shouts about the type of person you are and the type of work you're delivering. So,
I've gone for the skin colour.
I think it was probably like quite early on then when you first started, when we spoke via email and over the phone, when you was supporting with something. And obviously I hadn't met you before, but I found how helpful you was, right? And friendly, supportive, and that's before we even kind of had any sort of relationship. So it was, and like what John just said there, within 12 months to kind of have that type of reputation, because I've said your name to a few people and they know of you already, and you have got
Positive.
Yeah.
That's not always a good
Yeah,
thing.
so you have got that solid reputation as well, which is it's really good. So yeah.
And like you said, we speak a lot about achievements as in work, but to hear you talking about your family and getting that balance right, which is a big achievement, being able to progress in a career while bringing up children. It is a thing. We often play it down, but it's a major deal. And property mogul Marcus. But managing things outside of work as well as doing seriously good work in the organisation, those personal achievements, and obviously the sporting one, because not being little on sport myself, I recognise that having the commitment to get to play at the level that you do, it's not easy. So to do that while fathering children as well.
Yeah, and running around after them playing football.
And running around after them, it's a big deal.
I suppose for me then, over the last 12 months, I was quite proud. Something I was quite proud of in service was to get messages and to get emails from colleagues about some of the work that I've done recently, which I think must have resonated with people. I won't say who, but a few people have emailed or texted and stuff like that. And some people said face to face as well, actually. I think based on almost feeling like they've had a voice or had like some sort of representation, probably from last year, the Black History Month initiative that we worked on. So the podcast last year, the crude appliance, the exhibition that we attended. And yeah, it was nice to kind of get that. Not that I was looking for recognition from it in any way, but for someone to message me when they didn't have to. I was quite proud of, because it kind of shows it's needed, I think. And we could easily overlook it and be like, it doesn't need to happen, or no one feels like it needs to happen. But for someone to take it on, and then for someone to kind of take their time to message that back, it kind of meant a lot.
It shows that it makes a difference. And that's one person or a couple of people that have messaged you, but I'm sure there are people that didn't send the message but equally felt that it made a difference to them. Valid work.
Yeah, and sort of, I suppose, professionally, just some of the community work, charity work over the last 12 months. So did like an anti-knife crime initiative, which was well received. We had like loads of schools across Milton Keynes attend. So it's obviously, as we know, nationally, massive knife crime problem. And I know it's not necessarily our remit as a service, probably falls more under TVP, but we're a community organisation, and we work in the community, and we've all got kids. We know that we worry about those things. I know that there was an incident in Milton Keynes with a knife that sort of hit home quite hard. So to do an initiative like that was quite a proud moment for me. So it was a fundraising event. We raised money, we raised awareness, and we hopefully served the purpose for what we were trying to achieve. It was quite visual. We was in centre of Milton Keynes. The challenge basically of striking a punch bag for 6 hours, raising money, school kids coming to it, taking part in it as well, members of the public getting drawn in. So really, really good day to be a part of, I think, for me. I suppose the last one as well, or there's two really, like what Marcus mentioned, and yourself, Angela, with the People's Awards. So the Culture and Inclusion Award, which I was really grateful to be nominated for.
We were both nominated.
But you deserve it as well.
So competitive.
But I wasn't expecting anything like that at all, to be honest, and to be recognised, because I think with the People's Awards, it's like we know that it's your peers. It's not someone just saying for a tick box or something like that. Someone's gone out their way to write a paragraph or more about things that we've done, and to kind of have the recognition and be like, okay, he's done some charity work, he's supported some charities, he's supported the community, he's hopefully an overall okay person. It meant a lot as well. So I was quite proud of that, and in the last few months we got that. And as a station as well, Broughton, we got recognised at the Inspiration Awards, the Milton Keynes Inspiration Awards. That was kind of a collective of what Broughton's been involved in. So where we've all kind of pulled together, worked hard as a station. It's all really positive stuff. So quite proud of that, I think. So we'll move on. We'll talk about role models then. It can be inside service, outside service. Angela, do you want to give us a little bit of that?
So in terms of my role models, it definitely has to be my parents, my mum and dad. And sometimes people think about celebrities and maybe other people that have come across, but for me, definitely my mum and dad, in terms of resilience, the values that they've shown me, their determination. in terms of their progression. I talked about it earlier, coming over here. For my dad's side of the family were here. For my mum, she came from Jamaica, no family, knew exactly what she wanted to do, what her kind of goals were, and that's where she met it. Yes, there were barriers, but she never allowed that to stop her from achieving what she wanted to achieve. And that's what they've instilled in me. So again, growing up, so there was two things that may potentially hold me back: one being female, one being black. But they also said to me that if you work hard, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. And touch wood, I've been able to do that. So yeah, definitely for me, it's one.
And do you think your children would see you as in the same way how you see your parents? Is that a hope that you obviously set yourself? Yeah.
No, I hope so, because again, with my children, they've got the competitive blood from their mum and dad. Certainly their sports, and you win and you lose, but it's how you deal with those losses. And what I've tried to tell them is that in life, you're going to have disappointments, but what you have to do is be able to rise above them. And I hope they would sit here and say, yeah, Mum's always told us that. I will sit and I'll listen to you, but okay, so what are we going to do about it? And how are we going to overcome? That's exactly how I was raised as well. So
pass it on.
I hope so. And I hope they pass it on as well. They can say that's what your grandmother was like and your great grandmother was like as well. The word can't's not in my vocabulary. So you tell me I can't do something. That's my drive to prove you wrong. That's what it's.
What about you, Marcus, role models?
I'm probably similar. I'll probably bring it more closer to home as well. And probably three individuals. They are unfortunately no longer with us. They all passed away. But that would be my grandparents. So on my dad's side, so my grandma and granddad. As I mentioned earlier, they came over during the Windrush generation. But they were able to come over and build a life for themselves, and also a life for my aunties and uncles. And then that eventually built the foundations for them to live their lives and have children, etc. And that's obviously I'm here today. And I've tried to instill that myself as well on that and build a life for my family. Okay, I've got a home. I'm trying to make it home with the renovations, but that's somewhere for my kids to go. Yeah, that's your safe space. You've always got somewhere to go if you need it. So that, for me, those two individuals were quite powerful, inspirational. In terms of my granddad, he always tells me to have a good education. Get education there, work hard when you've got a chance. And I think I've done that. I've got a qualified accountant. I try and work hard every day, both in work and outside of work. And one of the things I still remember now was when I told him I passed my final exam and become a chartered accountant, his first words to me were, big money now. And to me, I laughed when he said that. And with my granddad, he's got a gold tooth as well. So when he was smiling, I was like, you know what? Yeah. So from then, I knew my pocket money was stopping. That's what I'm going. I won't get no change from him when he needed to help me out. And from my grandma as well, when she was here, she was the glue to the family. She held it together, and she was quite powerful in that presence. Nobody would cross my grandma. It was her word, or it was not going to happen, kind of thing. And when she passed, it left a massive void in the family that they couldn't fulfill and couldn't make up. Then the last person I just wanted to mention as well was my uncle, Mr. Henry. I will mention his name. And every time I used to go around my granddad's house, he was always turn up or he'd be there already. And he goes, right, when you earn your salary, make sure you invest it, make sure you do the right things with it. And that's probably why I've come to the property development kind of thing in my life as well, to try and make sure I set myself for the future and also my kids' future as well. And he's always taught me that. And he always told me, don't buy foolishness, don't buy a car, don't buy this. And then when I qualified, I bought myself a car, and he wasn't happy with that. So he was like, what have you done that for, and whatnot. But he's another person that's been in my life that's always been there to say, don't just invest for now, don't waste your money, invest for your future, and make sure you look ahead. And I feel that with those three people in my life, I've managed to pick little bits from what they've taught me and told me over the years, and trying to instill them on my life and pass them on to my children as well, to make sure that they're family orientated when they grow up, and make sure they care for people and look after people, and don't think for now, think for their futures as well.
That's nice. Yeah. Nice. John, myself.
I similarly to Marcus and to Angela, the family thing rings true. Parents, I think, when you've got parents that have come from the Caribbean to settle in another country, they have a particular understanding of what you as their child are gonna need in terms of tools to progress. And that's pretty standard. But the one thing I wanted to touch on, which funnily enough, because Angela's in the room, is about other people's parents and how they've influenced me. Because I was lucky enough to every weekend attend cricket with my dad, and he played for Aylesbury West Indians cricket team. A group of like-minded and varying in age men that had come over from the Caribbean, Angela's dad being one of them as well. And the reason that I'm going to say that whole situation was a role model for me, because you had a group of people that were very similar but very, very different. I was privy to how they interacted with each other, how they ripped and ribbed each other, how they supported each other, how the ones that were more affluent than the ones that weren't so affluent looked after each other after matches, and supported each other both, financially, socially, spiritually, I suppose, and just came together to make everybody feel good about themselves. And there was me, little 11-year-old, having the opportunity to spend time with these big men and their big talk, being privy to all of their conversations, and that taught me a lot of valuable lessons in terms of how I carry myself, in terms of how I communicate with people, in terms of how I look at myself within the community, and the confidence that I have, and the compassion as well that I have. I think that I do say it quite often, but that played a massive part in who I am today. Yeah.
Okay, so for myself, I suppose, role models would be the cliche. So I've got two really, inside and outside of work I'll use. Obviously outside of work would have to be my mum. Knowing what she's gone through her life, obviously it's adoption, being brought up in a different country, having children, coming back, settling down, loads of different things that have gone on with my dad and the relationship between them and the struggles. And then always being a constant in her children's lives and someone that we could go to for support. And I think she's done a good job in raising. I know there's issues outside of what I'm talking about now, but I think she's done a good job in terms of the values that she's given us and us being able to then live our lives to as good as we can, kind of thing. So yeah, I'd say for that reason, I've always looked up to her really and kind of tried to give back where I can, and that's probably shaped me into terms of being like a people person and trying to help others where I can. And then inside of work, I'm going to say, obviously, we spoke last year, John, it's yourself.
No.
Making blush. but no, it is because, again, for John being there at the start of my career, and then obviously I'll see him at the end of his career. But we've worked with different projects. John's always been sort of there throughout those 20 years that I've been here, really. So yeah, so it has been him. Even the event that I talked about earlier, so the Knockout Knife Crime that I organised, John comes up on his day off to support it. Of course, didn't have to, but he's always kind of been there. So yeah, no, that's. And I think even the way John carries himself, everyone in the brigade loves John.
I don't know where everyone.
Most people, but it's a funny story. So we was at, I think it was Great Orme's Open Day a few years ago, and I got a tattoo on my arm that says my children's names. And John saw that my daughter's called Giselle, and he goes, "My daughter's called Giselle." Spelled the same, two L's. And I didn't know that. He didn't know that, and it was just little. There's been little coincidences over the years, and yeah, John's definitely someone that you can look up to and kind of have a good impression of what he brings, really, and try to kind of mirror some of his behaviours. So yeah, I'd say yeah. Thanks for that, John. Challenges then. So in terms of challenges, so moments where you stood firm. So can you think of anything that is kind of, it could be inside of work, it can be outside of work. Marcus, if you've got an idea?
Yeah, this is probably the toughest area for me, and I can't think of any significant challenge in my life where I thought, you know what, because of the colour of my skin, I can't do anything, or if it is that. And if someone says something to me, I usually take it with a pinch of salt and move on, kind of thing. That's the kind of how I don't try and take anything to heart. So for me, I grew up with people of different backgrounds. I went to a school that had people from different backgrounds. I played football against people or with people from different backgrounds. So I saw the colour of my skin as not a barrier or a challenge for me. And growing up, I've managed to put myself in situations where I can sort of control the situation, if that makes sense. So I was able to choose the secondary school I went to. I was put myself around the right people that were for me. And I was able to make the right decisions in my life, because how well planned I am and organised I am to try and set myself goals and targets, to be in a place where I've tried to not avoid challenges, but I've not come across challenges where I think, I can't go that hurdle, or I don't see them as challenges, if that makes sense. But for me, I could have quite easily gone down a different route in terms of my life growing up, from the estate I grew up on. And a prime example of that is I know people that are from that estate or from the local area that have gone to prison or still in prison or unfortunately passed away because they've been either killed or whatever, if you want. So, and another example of that is my older brother. He grew up not causing trouble, but in the wrong crowd. It wasn't until he was in his early 20s that he turned his life around and gone, do you know what, that's no longer for me, that side of it. He was doing all sorts on the streets and wherever I won't go into, but he turned his life around. He set up his own company, he's got children, he's got family, he's turned his life around. So that's someone then I've gone, do you know what, he's turned his life around. I could have been quite easy down that bad path with him because we're only 15 months apart. We could have done the same thing together. So for me, I've not come across any difficult challenges where I couldn't overcome or I've not seen them as hurdles or barriers in my life. So yeah.
You go, John.
Okay. So challenges, I don't really, I think it would be easy to say that I've not seen any challenges directly. I think, first of all, let's talk about sport. There's definitely been a lot of challenges in terms of my ethnicity within sport. I think I've had to endure quite a bit in terms of name calling, in terms of attitude. It's probably a lot less now than when I was in the midst of my sport. And I did get myself into a little bit of trouble because I never really used to take it that well. I used to look at it in a certain light. But as I got older, I managed to be able to deal with those things a little bit differently. I probably grew a little more wise as to the ways of being able to deal with them. It would be naive of me to think that the way I look and carry myself doesn't have an influence on people's behaviour towards me. I think history tells you that that's not the case, and that there is an influence, and it does have a part to play. Do I see it overtly? Do I feel it? Not really. But am I aware that it must play a part? Absolutely I am. Otherwise, why would I think to be progressing my career in the way that I progress it in order to show people certain things? Why would people like you, Gav, say that I was a good role model and influence on you, and have the colour of my skin be an influencing factor in that if it doesn't play a part? And if there are good things about it, there are bound to be negative. What do I do with it? To be honest, I just try and make sure I am a good, solid role model, if you like. I portray good behaviours, and I don't, funny, because I do think this, and I think a lot of people of colour think it, I don't want people to think badly of A, me, and B, my colour. So when I behave a certain way, I would like you to make reference to my colour if you want, for the positives, and I don't want you to think badly of me because of colour. So I think colour is a challenge. It is, and that's how I've been brought up, and that's what I've seen in my life. And so I accept that challenge, but the way I behave, I hope to change the attitude. That's what I do with it.
Again, exactly what you said, Marcus. I found this question had to really make me sort of sit back and think. And I guess growing up, in terms of challenges, as I said, we live in Aylesbury. Aylesbury's changed a hell of a lot now when we were there. And certainly from my schooling days, now when I reflect back, always a push for sports, athletics, yeah? Really good sprinter, really good, yeah. And I can remember certainly parents emailing, my parents were like, yeah, okay, well, let's talk about any additional support needs. And it used to frustrate them that there seemed to be such an emphasis on sports. And I don't know if it was the stereotype in those days. I don't know if things have changed that, we're going to push you in that direction. And again, that's why it's so important to have that strong foundation, to have those parents kind of go, no, we're going to sweat in a different direction. So I had that growing up in schooling. In terms of my career, there's been times when comments have been made, and I have learnt to be able to address it, but you address it in kind of a diplomatic way. That's the way that I deal with it. So if I'm not happy with an example where somebody was making reference to rap music and all of a sudden the word that they mentioned in the office where I was, wasn't appropriate. But what I did is I took the person out of the office and we had that conversation. You might find this acceptable because other people say it. I don't find it. That's how I've kind of dealt with those types of challenges. I don't get myself wound up about it, but what I will do is I will have that conversation with him, but I'll do it in a way that the person kind of sits there and goes, okay, I won't do that again, and explain. Yeah. It's no harm. The person said what they said, didn't think anything of it, but I just explained to them, as I said, what other people might find acceptable, I don't. So that's how I've always kind of dealt with certain challenges. But I think it comes with age and experience. I might be different a few years ago. I might have said something completely different individual, but I think you can still get your argument across. You can still deal with challenge that behaviour, but it's just the way that you do it and articulate yourself. And again, that's what I try and say to younger people. Don't get yourself all aggravated, aggro and shouting and whatever. Learn to articulate yourself. You can still get the same point across and make your stance.
Challenges for me, I would say, we talked about it last year, imposter syndrome, where I feel like I did probably a year ago I was worse with imposter syndrome because it's something internal where you think, are you good enough to be doing what you're doing? Externally, probably no one probably noticed it because hopefully how I portrayed myself. I'd say over the last 12 months, that's something that I realised and I worked on for myself. And that wasn't me seeking like external validation from people or anything like that. It was more just doing things that make me feel right about what I'm doing, if that makes sense. So some of the work that I've been involved in, some of the things that I've been involved in, like at home, realisations of how you can be a better person. And yeah, just kind of how I carry myself, hopefully. And external validation, I think, is good. It will help you to some extent, but I don't think that internally is going to make you the type of leader or type of person, manager, whatever it is that you're trying, family person, husband, whatever you're trying to be. You need to find that internally, and then that's what will come out of you. And that's kind of something that I feel like I've kind of overcome, I would say, now in the last 12 months. So quite pleased with that. But we talked about, and your point then, Angela, made me realise, wanted to bring it up more again, was microaggressions. So we all know, we talked about it before, microaggressions is basically almost like an indirect or a unintentional comment or act or something that can be said. A bit like what you said about the person said about rap music. So it's like someone might say something, not realising the impact that it has on someone. So if you say something that you've always said, and it could be a generational thing, it might be something that someone just doesn't realise that they're saying. So it could be a comment about, and I had a conversation with Rachel over the last few months, and she talked about it, which was good. It kind of made me realise a bit more as well, like comments like slave driver or cracking the whip, and comments about like monkey joke, or it could be anything like that. And how does that make that marginalised person feel? So for me, I feel like microaggressions is something that I need to work on in terms of firstly identifying it, but calling it out at that point in time of what it is. Because for me, and it goes back to what John said there, you feel or you think about, you don't want people to see you as this big aggressive person. You don't want them to associate your colour as why you're that big aggressive person. Right, you want to be able to call something out that you know is not acceptable. And are you doing it in the right way? Are you recognising it in the right way? Or are you being oversensitive to it? That's the dilemma I've had, or probably still do have, I'll be honest, because something can happen and I think, I don't know, that might make me feel a certain way, or it might make another person feel a certain way. Should I act on that, or should I just let it go? And there's been a couple of instances where I feel like I've come away now feeling disappointed in myself because I thought about it in hindsight. I should have probably said something. Not that it was overtly a comment, because I feel like as a service, we're all trained really well to identify and challenge unacceptable behaviour. And I feel like I do that well. When it's something that's overt and it's out there, we've got heat packages, we've got development centre interview questions, things like that we can kind of all answer really well and pass. But when it's something that's a microaggression or something that's indirect, that can probably have a bigger impact on someone. And I feel like maybe that's something that we need to all look at on some instances. Like, is it something that we can kind of challenge in an appropriate way that doesn't make you as the individual come across confrontational or aggressive? Because why should you feel a certain way because what someone else has said? So that's something that going forward, that's something that I'm going to kind of work on, and hopefully 12 months' time, I'll have some good news. So I've got a quick question I was going to ask, and we talked about it before, but I know we're running out of time because we're talking, but in terms of diversity, so I watch this or follow this inspirational speaker. It's called Simon Sinek. Look him up on YouTube. He knows everything about everything, very much. Good, intelligent person. But question was asked, is diversity unity and strength, or can it cause weakness? And obviously we would all know the answer. Diversity is great because of the reasons, bit of everything from everyone. But the example or the debate that was given, and it was a deliberate debate because they wanted to raise like conversation from it. So is diversity strong or can it cause weakness? And obviously everyone in the room said, well, it's a good thing. And then they said, all right, so let's say you're forming a relay team and you want to win a gold medal in the Olympics. You've got 4 Usain Bolts, or as I said, 4 Shelley-Ann Frasers, 4 top sprinters. Do you pick those 4 top sprinters to win, or do you pick 4 different individuals that might not be as fast as the top sprinter? And what's right? You're going for a diverse relay team because it's diverse and it's the right thing to do, or do you want to win the gold medal? So what's people's thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's an easy thing to put 4 Usain Bolts together, but knowing Usain as I do, no, I don't really. But knowing the mindset, there can only be one Usain Bolt. Knowing how strong he is as an individual, I can't imagine 4 Usain Bolts getting on together. I can't imagine communicating well together. He's a self-driven individual. Also, he's got to run all the bends on his own. Who's to say he's a good bend runner? Who's to say he's the best bend runner? I know it's Usain Bolt is, but
200 metres.
I know, but the fact that you've got one person that does one thing really, really well doesn't necessarily mean that you can't beat that by having a collective of people that do things slightly differently, and that difference gaining an advantage. The Usain Bolt is a really bad example because he's so quick, but that diversity might just give you a bit of an edge where you were unable to see the edge.
What was the book you talked about, John, with the example, Rebel Ideas?
Rebel Ideas. Now, I'll make a little bit of an admission here, because quite a good one, because I was having a conversation with a member of staff in the organisation. We were talking about diversity of thought, and they raised the subject of this book and how it was a brilliant book, and they got a lot from it, and they said that I should read it, which I did. And that was our current chief. So she's the one who told me about the book Rebel Ideas, and it is a brilliant book, and it does demonstrate, and you know, when you consider something to be the case, say diversity is good, and then someone says, well, why is it good? And you struggle to properly qualify why it's a good thing. You want to find simple examples of why it would be good. The book lets you find simple examples of why it's good. Yeah, I think I'd advise anybody listening, if you haven't read it, read the book. And it'll probably answer better why 4 Usain Bolts wouldn't necessarily win the race than I've just answered it.
Has anyone else got any other views on any of that?
I guess from an HR point of view, it kind of links in with what we call team type, yeah? So it's nice to have, if you have a team of all like-minded individuals, actually often those teams can fail, yeah? Because you don't have that diversity, you don't have those different thought processes, you don't have those different characteristics. You may have somebody who's fantastic at giving ideas, but then once they give their ideas and they can't actually complete them, they complete a finisher, but then you've got somebody who can take that idea and kind of run with it, and then you've got your person who completes a finisher at the end. So for me, I see that as a positive in terms of diversity, and it's not, what we don't want is diversity to be in terms of tick box. Yeah.
It has to give you something, right? It's pointless adding this ingredient if the ingredient means nothing.
Yeah.
So the fact that you've got challenge, and again, it doesn't have to necessarily be right. You can have 3 people having a conversation, and the fact that one of those people says something that's not necessarily right, but it forces the other 2 to think about why they're correct and the reasons that they are so wrong. And that's the improvement that you get from the diversity of the thought. That's what it is.
That's really interesting. So that's pretty much the last point that I had. Yeah, I want to say thank you for everyone helping take part.
And thanks to you, Gavin, again, for getting it together.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.